A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there. Welcome to my channel, the Twin Flame Union. In this channeling session, the message is choose a side and then stick to it or stick with it. It's a very important message, and quite honestly, this message did not come to me right now. It came to me quite some time back. But I never really understood that it was a channeled message, or it was not something else. And it did trigger me also, and I don't know if it's going to trigger someone else also or not who's listening to it. But I'll tell you why it's important to do this and how I have finally decoded this message for all of you all, not for just one person. Sometimes in life we meet people who may not overall seem to be correct. Overall, they may not seem to be completely right for us. They may not be humane. They may not be kind-hearted. They may not be understanding. They may not also be truthful and sincere. But sometimes they do or they say something which is what we are supposed to take from them. Number one, this is something also that you can take as a guidance. That take the best thing from people and then let it be. Let them be. Like if you meet somebody or maybe it's in your family, someone, you meet them, you talk to them, and you may see 100 bad things in them, and there could be also, I'm not saying they're not, and we should be blind to it also. But if you're going to focus on all those 100 bad things and all those 100 things negative about them, or the things they did bad to you because of which you suffered in the past, you are going to continue to suffer. Not only you'll suffer more, but you'll also keep talking about it. You'll keep repeating that experience, and it will be like a loop for you which will make you suffer. However, you need to also realize that if someone has done something bad to you, it's never entirely bad. Nothing is never entirely bad, because connected with it has to be something really positive. And I'm talking about not everyday small triggers or things, I'm talking about, say, a big thing happened. Someone troubled you in a big way. But did you still remain the same person, or you have come a long way since then? And in your growth and in your progress and shaping up who you are today, they have played an important role. If so, then instead of getting angry with them, should actually thank them. Not personally, I'm not saying you should go and talk to all such people, but mentally you should thank them, and you should be like, thank you so much. I may not have changed it, I may not have worked on it, I may not have done anything about it, but because of the behavior that you showcased, because of the way you acted, because of maybe a big scene that they created, that person, I became more free and I have a better life today. And maybe because of that ruckus they created, because of the negative situation they created, a big shift happened in your life. Maybe because those people helped you to choose a side and to stick with it. Okay? Now, the Divine Masculine chose the 3D side. You all know that. All of those people who are doing inner work, you know. And I'm talking about genuine twin flames. And I keep saying this, genuine twin flames, so that I remind all those people, if you are here for 3D union, only that's why you're doing inner work, then it's very hard to get that 3D union, because your focus is completely on 3D union, and till the time you don't shift your focus on what your desire is, your desire will not be completed. And you should know this thing, that the hell dimension is a place where desires never get completed. None of the desires ever get completed. That's why it is called hell. But the people who are running after those desires, they live in some kind of fantasy world where they keep imagining it, or they keep thinking about it all the time, and it never happens, and they remain where they are. So we don't want that to happen to anybody. Because I want you to get out of the loop of this emotion. Because I know how it feels to be there. I know how it feels to be in that trap. And I know every day, some of you are working every day. One day you're up, happy, bright, and the other day you're very unwell, you're unhappy, you have a headache or you have some problem and you don't know how to cope up with it. Then you decide that you're not going to take any medicines or pills, but you end up taking one. Or maybe you decide that I'm going to eat on time or I'm going to drink a lot of water, but then you forget about it. And then you're like, oh my God, I forgot about it. But you're trying. That's most important. My guru told me this, that you must try. You must try. If you try, you can and you will. If you try, if you honestly try. Because if you honestly try once, you will keep trying till you don't get it. Okay? So you need to try to do surrender, because surrendering means that you're not wasting your time on those desires. And the real manifestor, true manifestor, is the person who does not think about the desire even once. Says, okay, I want to eat this, forget about it. It might be like, what? If you want something, shouldn't you work towards it? First of all, the word want is there. If you want something, you already know that you don't have it. And if you know that you don't have something, you won't have it. But when you believe, when you know that you have it, you would not even want it. Does it make sense? So choose a side and stick with it. Coming back to this very important message, Divine Masculine chose the side 3D and he decided to stick with it. Because for him 3D mattered the most. And you, who always believed in the 5D, you could not choose 5D because of his running away. You were like, okay, maybe in the 5D I know that he's with me and we are in union and he loves me and we are happy. But he's run away. Oh my God, he's not taking my calls. He's not answering me. Or he's just ghosted me. Or he's just gone ahead with someone else. Okay, now what? And you forget about the 5D completely after that. Completely. The inner work is actually to bring you back in that zone, which you had started when you met him, when it got created. I'm sure those distractions were there even then. I'm sure all the differences that you talk about now, all those differences were there at that time too. But then how did it happen in the first place? How did you meet the person you had always wanted, the type of person you had always wanted? And for all those people, the masculine was also showing equal interest. How did that even happen? How did he show equal interest? How did he appear? Because you had decided, you had chosen a side, you had chosen to be in the 5D at that time. But he came into your 5D and he was like, I don't want to choose 5D, I want to choose 3D. Because he saw some doubt in you, and I'm not kidding. The doubt was also there. The doubt was also there, the surety was also there. But you chose to be sure. And suddenly everything shifted for you. Because you took a bold step. Because you took some very courageous move. And you know that, again, I mean, it's a public channeling. It's not a private reading. It's not a personal channeling that we can discuss about your personal issue, completely your personal experience. We are not focused on that right now because we are doing a public channeling. So you know, wherever you are right now, from wherever you're listening, you know that at that point in time, you did do something different. You did shift something. But then you came back to not choosing that one side. And choosing one side, once again, means choosing one. Not two, not dual. No matter how hard it is for you, it will be hard. I'm not denying that. That's why we do inner work. We do inner work to remind ourselves every single day that it's hard, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to fucking do it. No matter what. No matter what, I'm going to do it. If I have to sit for 1 hour still, I will do it. If I have to go backpacking alone, I will do it. If I have to eat vegetarian food every single day, I will do it. If I have to believe in love, I will do it. If I have to be focused only on my mission and not on the luxuries, on all the fancy things, all the fantasies, all the demons that try to attract me towards itself, I will not choose the demons. I will choose my mission. It's going to be hard. There will be so many things that will stop you from not believing in true love. Because true love is about accepting who you are. And you need to accept that you belong to a higher dimension. You've always been like that. But you, because of your attachments, because of your sympathetic nature, because of your programming, and because of the false things that you were taught, you started believing all the things that were not love. Love does not mean neglect. Love does not mean abandonment. Love does not mean harm. Love does not mean demotivating someone constantly. Love does not mean disbelief. There are many people who have like on the face, I'm saying this, on the face, they could be smiling at you, they could be very nice to you. But inside their heart, they may not be so nice. And you would want to believe that because they've probably shown it to you in some way or the other that you cannot believe them, that you cannot trust them. You cannot trust them for sure. And they smile at you, but you can trust source. Okay, they're smiling to me on my face, so I'm gonna smile back at them. But I'm not gonna waste my time on thinking that they think bad about me, or they can harm me, or they have power over me, or they have control over me, or in some way or the other, they decide my life. They are the deciding factors of my life. Those people who neglected me, those people who abandoned me, those people who beat me up, those people who told me to shut up, not for the wrong things I was doing, but for the right things that I was doing, for the humane things that I was doing. Because I was not behaving like the crowd. I was not behaving like everybody else who was blind. I wanted to behave like those people who could see and who were awake. I wanted to walk on that path, and because I wanted to walk on the path of light, of being real, I was neglected, I was punished. But am I going to choose that all the time, every single day? Every single day, am I going to remind myself that I was neglected, I was harmed, I was hurt, or most importantly, that they have the power over me, and I have to please them, and I have to do everything as per them? Or I'm going to remember the time that they smile at me on my face, and whatever they do behind my back, planning, plotting, treachery, talking badly about me, casting spells on me, whatever they do, I'm not going to focus on that anymore because I don't have the time to focus on that. I really don't have the time to focus on that. I have the time only for source integration and only for my mission. Because I want to be in 5D. I choose to be in 5D. I choose love. I don't want to choose other people's fear especially. Because they are fearful. Because they don't believe in it. I cannot agree to them. And to show my disagreement, I don't also need to create a ruckus like them. To show my disagreement, I don't need to act like them. I don't need to do anything as per them. The next day or the next minute can be a new day and a new minute or a new life for me. Because I choose love. Don't think that negativity is not powerful. Negativity is also powerful. As much as positivity is powerful, negativity is also powerful. Negative people also do a lot of things, all the time. They also make things happen, especially materialistic things happen, because the desire, they're working on the desire, and sometimes to get that desire, to achieve that desire, they can do anything. They can take any damn shortcut for a certain piece of luxury, for a certain materialistic pleasure. They can do literally anything, and they do it. They also function in a different way. They also surrender, but they surrender not to source. They surrender to that energy, to that desire fully, and they say, okay, I'm going to do whatever you want me to do. A lot of celebrities do it. A lot of famous people do it. A lot of politicians do it. That's what Illuminati is all about. Illuminati is the opposite of illumination. In the 7 stages of the twin flame union, before harmonization, we have the stage called illumination. So they always take these things from the metaphysics domain, like we have the third eye concept, okay? We have the third single one eye concept. They take it too. But they take it in a materialistic way. That's why you see all these TV shows, where people are locked up in a house, and every country has that show. This is what is amazing. Even in India, when this show started, it started as a Hindi television show, it was being shown only for one specific language and audience. Now it happens in every language, literally. They have it in Marathi, they have it in Tamil, they have it in this, they have it in South Indian languages. And obviously for North India, they have the Hindi one. I think about this, I get very amazed by it. And you know what their symbol is? It's the eye. So they all accept it. It's not like they don't accept it. They know that they are literally working for Maya Nagari. And Maya Nagari, you have seen one of my videos, one of my vlogs on my channel, the Suna Moon Vlogs. Who created Illuminati? What is the origin of Illuminati? Who created this world of delusions, of desires? It was created by Marich, who is the uncle of Ravan. And Ravan is the character who kidnapped Sita, because Sita and Ram, they are true lovers. They are twin flames. He never wanted the twin flames to be happy with each other. So he kidnapped Sita. He took her away. He kept her in his kingdom. He could not cage her, but he literally kept her in a place like that, where she was being watched by a lot of his demons, female demons. They were always constantly keeping an eye on her. And he would keep giving her this Maya, the offer of Maya. I'll make you a big queen. I'll make you this. I'll make you that. I'll make you my wife. I'll make you blah, blah, blah. He would give her so many offers. So many offers. And he would say, I am the most powerful man on this planet. In all the dimensions, I am the most powerful. The divine beings are scared of me. The asuras are scared of me. The humans are scared of me. All beings are scared of you. And you and your Ram, your lover Ram, your husband Ram, you are nothing. He is nothing. You are such a beautiful woman. You are such a powerful woman. You should be my wife. Not that man, not him, my wife. He would say that to her all the time, because he wanted to give the greed of desires, the offers to Sita. Imagine Sita, who's a representative of planet Earth. She's the daughter of Mother Earth. One of the most, that's why I say they are our gurus, twin flame gurus. So they created Illuminati, and they have created in such a deep way. They said that whether we live or we don't live doesn't matter, because just the way the divine beings or the higher beings get reincarnated, they also keep getting reincarnated in their own hell dimensions, So they do their work, and we have to do our work, basically. So she was like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't even know what you're talking about. You have no idea. And she is Shakti. He wanted Shakti for himself. He wanted Shakti for the demons, for the asuras. For the materialistic world, he wanted the Shakti. But can he get that? And even if Shakti stays there, the Shakti is untouched. She's pure. And we all have noticed that the evil beings also have a lot of wealth. A lot of them are very rich. A lot of them are very rich. They have everything that you can imagine. All luxuries. And bodily also, they keep doing some enhancements. They keep taking some injections. I look at Kris Jenner. I get surprised with the way she looks at this age. I know it is obviously the filter cameras, and it is also a lot of makeup and lot of Botox and lot of surgeries. I know that. But still, how they present themselves to the world, they present themselves as perfect. As we are perfect. Our lives are perfect. And everybody, all of you should be like us. And they always pick up the good things, like they always pick up the things that a good soul would do. So they have that image that, yeah, I'm a good person. I'm a really good person. We are very good people. We are very nice people. We are very humane people. But that's just for the show. That's just for the outside world. They don't forgive. I don't want to divert you to the television shows, but all I'm trying to say is that yes, our lives are influenced by these stupid, dumb television shows and movies, how they project love, and that's what they do. Their idea of love is all 3D, all nonsense, bullshit 3D stuff. And our idea of love is not like that. And Ram and Sita came here to show that. I don't know how many people capture it, but there was one of these very beautiful scene in Ramayana, in Uttar Ramayana. Basically what happens is that Sita is living in the ashram and Ram is living in the palace. Okay. And they are separated because of the exile. But she is on her mission to raise the boys. As a queen, as I said, if you give biological children, it makes sense, she was a queen, that's why she had to have children. Otherwise, when they were on exile, they could have made children at that time also. Why did not they reproduce children back then? They did not, right? So she had to raise the boys, and she wanted to raise the boys in such a way that she would not only be known as a good mother, but also as a good educator, also as a good teacher, also as the best caretaker. So she set an example for all the mothers so far. If you really want to be a great mother and you want to create the best humans for planet Earth, even after you're gone, and learn detachment the way she practiced detachment with the boys, you should study the life of Sita, because she's not only an amazing wife, but she's also an amazing mother. And on top of that, she was the best queen. A lot of people, because I'm very much close to the divine feminine, and I like to study the Shakti. I don't know why I like to study Shakti. Since childhood, I'm very much drawn to Shakti more than the masculine energy. Even though if I look at my own horoscope, I am a masculine energy, but still, because I'm born in a female body, I'm very much amused and very much curious, and I have a lot of respect and regard for the feminine energy, for Shakti. And I study Sita because every time I read anything about her, and she's made mistakes. She has made mistakes. No doubt she made mistakes. Her biggest mistake was not to listen to her brother-in-law Lakshman. And I'm also very fascinated by the character of Lakshman, because I think Lakshman is the best character, one of the best characters in the Ramayana. So why am I talking about this? Choose a side and stick with it. I'll give you all those examples, okay? First, let's come to the exile when they were separated. When they were separated, physically separated, the news came out that Lord Sri Ram or King Sri Ram is going to get married. Why? Because he's doing an Ashwamedh Yagya, and for that yagya, for the ritual, one has to sit with a wife. The husband and the wife have to sit in that ritual. Without the husband and wife sitting over there, the ritual cannot be completed. So this news spread like wildfire that King Sri Ram is getting married again. And obviously the news reached Sita, who was living under disguise. And she was so hurt. She was like, oh my God, is this really happening? Is my beloved husband, he promised to me he will never love any other woman. He promised to me, and I know if Sri Ram makes a promise, if he makes a commitment, anything can happen, but he will not break his commitment. He made a commitment to the crown, to the throne, that he will serve the crown and he will serve the throne only, and he will serve the people. So he gave up on me. But he did make a commitment to me also. He made a promise to me that he will never marry anyone else. He will never marry anyone else. He will never love any other woman. So how is this possible? How is this possible? And she was in such a bad situation. She was feeling so bad, and she was living a 5D life all that time, or till all that point. But all these 3D people, the gossipers, the story talkers, all of them, they just spread this news everywhere. Back in those days, there was no television or all these things. The news used to come out from actual sources. So she thought for a while, for a while she got like confused, like, is this even real? Is this even real? And her guru, Valmiki, who has written Ramayana, he saw that. He saw that she is in trouble. He saw that she is in pain. And he said, what happened, my daughter? What happened to you? Why are you so sad? She said, she hesitated, but she said that, I heard that Lord Sri Ram, my husband, is planning to get married, or he's getting married again for the Ashwamedh Yagya. And he said, do you believe that? You are Sita, you are Shakti, you are so powerful. How can you believe that? And she said, I don't believe it. I know he will not do it, but I don't know what to do. I don't know why my mind is wavering so much right now. He said, okay, fine. He said, you sit here. He made her relax, and then through astral projection, because Valmiki had a lot of powers, because of the powers, he aligned the chakras of Love and Kush, who are Sita's daughter, Sita's sons, at a very young age, when they were still little children, little boys. And they became extremely powerful after that, extremely powerful, so powerful that they defeated the army of their own father. That's how their union happened. That's how the whole reunion thing happened later on. So anyway, he was like, okay, I'm going to send you to Ram right away. And you can go and see, and you figure it out what's happening. So through astral projection, he transported Sita to the palace. If she would have believed in the 3D reality, or if she had not done her inner work, she would not have accepted these things. She would have said, oh no, it's not possible. It just doesn't work like that. Oh no. He said, no, it will work. And he didn't even have to convince her so much. He said, you believe me? You want to believe me? She said, yes, you are my guru. Of course, I will believe you. Okay, fine. Close your eyes. And then she reached the palace, and immediately she went inside the room where Sri Ram's own personal private chamber. She went inside it, and she saw there's a big, beautiful idol, a golden idol of her. So he had created a golden Sita because he could not get married. He was like, I'm not gonna get married. So he told the priest that you figure out a way. Okay, you figure out whatever way you want to figure out, because I'm gonna die, but I'm not gonna marry another woman, and I don't love anybody else. Okay, for my mission, for my work, for my commitment to my crown and to the throne, I had to make a certain choice. But how can I stop loving my beloved? And if you actually study Uttar Ramayana, you will feel the pain of Sri Ram. All those people who keep blaming Lord Sri Ram, what he did, and they are the same people who complain about the politicians and the kings and the people, the social workers who fake this life of social work and they run after luxuries and money. These are the same people who blame them, and then they still blame Lord Sri Ram. I don't know what really do they want, such people. So he used to always, like in front of the people, he would put up a face as a king, he would do his duties. But whenever he would come back to his room, he would cry, he would feel so sad, he would keep saying, Sita, my beloved Sita, where are you? I hope. And he would keep praying for her. And so much so that he never slept on the bed after that. Ever since he gave her exile, he always slept on the floor. Even after she passed over, he continued to sleep on the floor. Never, as a king, he had all the luxuries. He could have slept on the best beds or, all those things. But he ate simple food and he slept on the floor all throughout. So, nevertheless, she went to the chamber and she saw all these things. And she saw her own idol, her golden idol made out of pure gold. And she was like, oh my God. And he was literally, like sitting on her, towards her lap. So she was in a sitting position. It's in a lotus position the idol was made, because the idol's actual job was to be in the ritual, in the Ashwamedh ritual. So she saw the idol and he was literally towards her legs. He was lying down, like how you lie down on the floor, And she saw that and she was so touched by it, and she was like, oh my God. And he was asleep. So she put it's called a Chandra Bindi. She put that on her forehead, on Sita's forehead. Now while she was doing that, and she did that and then she hid behind the pillar, Ram could sense that Sita is there. He smelled her. He's like, oh my God, this is Sita's fragrance. This is her. Where is she? And he started looking for her. He started crying frantically. She's like, where are you? Where are you? I know you're here. I know you're here. I know you're a powerful woman. I know you're a godly woman. I know you're my Sita. You can do anything. I know you can do anything. I know you're here right now. Please, where are you? Tell me. And he keeps looking. Now, as per the rule of astral projection, you cannot just do that. So she stayed hidden behind the pillar, and she was having a good time also, because she had also cried a lot for him. Every time she missed him, she used to think about him very fondly also. So she was like, okay, look at him. He's like a baby right now for me, look at him, the way he's acting right now. And then he looked at the forehead of the idol, and he saw that the way that, the bindi was applied. He's like, oh my God, only Sita can do this. Only Sita knows about it. And he went berserk after that. And then the time for astral projection got over, and she came back in her body. And then when she opened her eyes, and Valmiki looked at her and he said, so what do you see, my dear? And she was blushing, and she was like happy, and she was like, you are right. He can never marry another woman. You know what he's done? He's like, I already know. I am already aware about it. And soon the whole Ayodhya people, everybody would know about it. The whole crowd would know about it. Right now, only the priest and only the inside people know what he's done with that gold. And you know what gold he used? He used the gold that was given by the people of Ayodhya. They all donated their own jewelry, their own ornaments, because they were highly apologetic for what they did. So Ram was very sure that he's going to bring her back very soon, because now even the people have started realizing, and all the things that he was doing, the yagya and all the preparation, he was like, yes, she is gonna come back to me, and we are going to live together. So his love was so strong, and this was one of the things. And the other thing, so when Sita was kidnapped by Ravan, what he did was he went to her, and he was like, let's create an illusion. They were all illusionists. Okay. So he said to one of his people that create an illusion of the war zone. We will take Sita to that war zone and make it look like, create some clones. Okay. Create 2 clones of Ram and Lakshman, put them over there and show them dead. Okay. Show them dead and make Sita believe that they are no more. And then Sita will have no other choice, but she will come to me. And this happened after Ram and Lakshman both had actually fallen because of during the war, when they were fighting, because of one of it was Indrajit, Ravan's son, who with a lethal weapon, he attacks Ram and Lakshman and they become unconscious. So Ravan uses this and he shows it to Sita and he's like, look, they are no more there. And she says, you stupid Ravan, you think I will believe you? Ram and Lakshman will be safe, they will be protected, nothing will happen to them. Don't show me these illusions, don't think. Because the illusion was so real. They created the illusion to be so real that anybody who would see it would fall for it. But Sita did not fall for it. She's like, I am 100% sure. And then again she goes into very deep meditation, and with her inner power, she sends those energies to Ram and Lakshman, which eventually help them to awaken. So she was so powerful. She was so powerful sitting from there, from a place where she was kidnapped. From there, she could send healing energy to Ram and Lakshman. And she's like, I'm not going to believe you. And who is Ravan? Ravan is the master of illusion. Ravan was the master of ego, master of 3D world. Okay. So you need to choose a side, and the side is 5D. And 5D is all about believing in something. You cannot you cannot waver every single day. Even if you are, I'm not judging you. I know it's hard, but maybe you should take this channeling or this session as a sign that now it is time that you need to buckle up and you need to work every day, because it's like you increase it every single day. I know there has been times when you were doing it for 2 months very well. You were on your path. You were eating right. You were doing the right things. You were saying the right mantras. You were chanting. You were meditating. You were working. You were mission oriented. You did not care about other people. You did not care about the world. You were not reacting. But one day you fall very like you roll down, you're flat, you're on the ground, and you're like, okay, the next 1 month goes like that. So these type of dark nights, now is the time that you're like, okay, I've had the practical course now. These things don't work for me. These 3D things don't work for me. These tensions don't work for me. Let me tell you how the manifestors, the material manifestors, they get their things done. They also get their things done. Let me tell you this today, okay? When they have a desire, they also get it. But their difference between you, twin flame, the light workers, the star seeds, the ascensioners, they are not selfish. They are not after materialistic things in life. If they manifest materialistic things also, then also they do it from a resource perspective, that it will be good for the people, it will be good for someone else. Like for example, if you create a retreat, if you want to create a retreat sort of a place, and you need to collect funds for that, you need to collect money for that. Why are you creating a retreat? So that children can come and stay over there, animals can come and stay over there, or you can grow organic food or something, have something in your mind going on. You know what it is for. It's for a higher purpose. It's not only for you. When you have taken out your own identity out from it, because you are 100% sure now with practical experience that this identity is not a permanent identity. What's within me is permanent. I cannot take any of these things from here, so I cannot do anything wrong to procure these things. When I say wrong things, like taking shortcuts, fooling other people, or maybe doing some kind of business that you don't enjoy, but you're doing it only for money, and your goal is what? Just a luxury. Just say living in a bungalow, or driving a BMW or a Mercedes Benz. But why are you driving that BMW or Mercedes Benz? What is the goal behind it? If the goal is only to get a great wow impression from other people, then you are working for only ego. But if you're riding the Mercedes or the truck or whatever it is, even the spaceship has something which is selfless behind it, then yes, I think you should do it. You should totally do it. If that helps you in some way, you should totally do it. Why not? But you know it very well. However, when I speak about Ravan, why do I speak about Ram and Ravan? Let me tell you this. Ram was a person, when it needed him to leave everything and live in the woods for the sake of people, for the sake of his word and commitment, he did that. He did not choose the shortcut. He did not choose the easy life. He could have chosen the luxuries very well, easily. In today's world also, if I look at the divine feminine, some of them, they are very hot, sexy, beautiful, attractive. They can easily get some rich dude, some sugar daddy, or some boyfriend or somebody, to get things done for them. Even they had those options, I know, but they did not take that shortcut. They said, no, it's not real, and I'm gonna not do what other girls are doing, what other people are doing. Till the time it does not come from my soul, does not come from my heart, I'm not gonna do it. So, the divine masculine cannot be seen any separately. He is also why do you want to marry him? Why do you want to be with him? Just for your own pleasure? Just for your own sake? Just for your own impression in the society? Or is he really worthy of you? Is he really supporting you in your mission work? Has he helped you in some way? Does he understand? Does he push you in some way? I'm not even saying you need someone to push you. You know what I'm talking about. You don't need him to be a prop. The DM is not supposed to be a prop for the divine feminine. And she should remember that she can generate any resource, whatever life she wants, whatever she wants to do, her mission, she can generate it on her own. She does not need a prop for that. She does not need a prop for that. At all. Okay. So, I want to I want to close this channeling session by saying one thing, that those people are manifesting. Why? Because they don't worry. When a girl, she wants to become a famous actress, she wants to be known everywhere, she goes to these big production houses, these big people, director, producers, whatever. Like you can read up or you can watch documentaries on Marilyn Monroe. What a pathetic, sad life she had behind the cameras. And in front of the cameras, she was the Marilyn Monroe. And how she died, we all know that. And she didn't live that long also, right? So these actresses, and they go to the big producers, and they are willing to sleep with all of them. They are willing to massage all of them. They're willing to be on their good books, or they're willing to do whatever it takes to get that position, to get that place, Sometimes they get so big, they get bigger than those directors and those producers who had given them chances, that they kick them on the butt also, sometimes they do that. But they know they are doing something wrong, but they don't think about it. They don't let that worry affect them, but they keep doing, what's the next big desire? On planet Earth, there is a limit. You can be famous, you can be rich, you can be beautiful, whatever, but there's always a limit. There's always a peak, and once you touch the peak, you will go down. But when it comes to one love, there is no such thing called peak. There's no such thing called highest point that I'm going to go there and wow. Even those souls who go to that place, where they think that yes, I have achieved, very humbly they come to planet Earth as volunteers whenever they're needed. So you think all those people who came to planet Earth, it's so hard, it's so difficult, why did they come here? Like they must be having fun, enjoying somewhere above the clouds in some higher dimension. Why? Because they are humble enough. They are humble, they are very selfless. They feel, why shouldn't I be used? Why shouldn't I be put to some good use? If I can do that, why not? So, okay, they want me to go to planet Earth during transit time. Okay, alright, let's do it. Oh, it's gonna be very hard. The elders tell them, the council of elders says, it's gonna be very hard, my child. Gonna be very difficult. It's transition time. They're actually moving from one dark age to energy age. You want to go at that time? You want to take birth during that time? Oh, why not? So what if it's hard? Are you not going to be with me? You're going to be with me, right? Source is going to be with me. I'll manage. I'll take care of it. For the good of other people, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a selfless person. And I don't want you to become stupid when it comes to being selfless. What I'm trying to say here is that this is what the materialistic or the demonic or the dark people are going to tell you. Oh, there's nothing. If you're going to be selfless, you're going to do nothing. You're not the doer. You say, okay, so what are you? A potato, a vegetable, not doing anything, just sitting there? So they put these type of doubts inside your mind because they don't want you to progress. But you know what you're here for. You know what you're doing. Can you be that greedy? Okay, so the divine masculine marries the divine feminine. Okay, so what? What after that? How does it help? How does it change anything? The reason why we do this inner work, we don't want to chase the masculine. We want the masculine to come to you on his own, through free will. Why? Because he is any which way inseparable. He is the same. He's the reflection, as we say, the same thing, the same person, the same energy. So he has no option but to come to you. So something which is already yours, how can it get separated? So what? For some time, okay, he's not there with you. So what? And I know some of you will be like, oh, it's so hard to even do this. It's hard because you're thinking about it from the 3D world. And that's why at the end of it, I would say, choose one side and stick with it. You choose either 5D or you choose either 3D. If you choose 3D, then also there are many ways to manifest your desire. You know that. You know that. There are many people teaching you that. But if you think that all this money, opulence, wealth, because once you start healing, you will start creating it. You will start creating the money, you'll start creating the resources, you'll start creating the wealth, you'll start creating the good life. And then you will have to choose, like, do I want this only for myself? Why am I doing this? Or is there a purpose behind it? You can, in Hindi we have these two words called Sukh and Dukh. Okay? Sukh means happiness, joy, and Dukh means what? Sorrow. Okay? But we are talking about something which is a feeling which is beyond these opposites, these dual feelings. happiness and sorrow, or joy and sorrow, because joy and sorrow will keep coming and going. In the world of materialistic people, this happens all the time. When they get one achievement, they get one big award, they get one big reward, they become like, oh, they like open in the public, they'll do challenges, they'll be like, look at me. You know, if you watch these mythology shows on television, every time a Rakshas comes, they show that Rakshas laughing like, ha, 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 ha. I find it very funny. You know, all these Rakshasas, they laugh like, ha, 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 ha. Look at me, I'm Ravan. Look at me, I'm this. I am so great, and this and that. So, why they laugh like this? Because that's the laugh of an ego. And every time they get an achievement, they want to flaunt it. So what are people doing at the little ones, the small Rakshasas we have in every nook and corner? Unknowingly or knowingly, we always flaunt these materialistic things on social media or wherever. Look, I got a BMW, or I got a this, or I got a that, I got a new iPhone, check out my iPhone. All of those things. But how many of us, we flaunt a flower that we grow, or a tomato that we grow, or a small beautiful little puppy somewhere, or a little kitten, or a beautiful tree. Like, I see all these people who share about the nature. All those videos are so breathtakingly beautiful. They are so nice, They're so beautiful. Or these people who share some messages, some positive messages. And I'm not judging those people who make wealth. My only question is, please make wealth, please become famous, please become rich, please do everything, but have a mission, have something to back it up. Like, there is some television personality. I don't even watch the show that she comes on, because I find the television shows to be extremely depressing and boring, and really it's not my cup of tea. But I like her on social media. I follow her on social media because she's constantly taking care of street animals. And wherever she's working, she has all these street dogs always surrounded with her. At least 7 or 8 of them. Because in any lane or any area, you have at least 7 or 8 of them who are alpha dogs. They all roam in a pack. They roam in a group. So wherever she is, if all 7, 8 of them are around her, at her workplace, at her residence, that means she's taking care of those in that area. And I see that, and she's written it in one of her latest posts, that my actual earth mission is to take care of the animals. Whatever I do as a famous celebrity or as an actor, that's my profession, that's my job. But really, what I want to do is this, because they are the ones who have loved me, they are the ones who have healed me, they are the ones who have shown me what true love, what unconditional love and loyalty is. So that is such a beautiful message to see. So again, I'm saying that do good things, okay, and don't worry. So one more thing that you need to kill if you want to live in the 5D is worrying. You cannot worry all the time. And there is a very nice doha in Hindi by Kabir, which I really like. It says, I'll say it in Hindi and then I'll translate it for you. It says, Chinta aisi dakini. चिंता ऐसी डाकिनी काट कलेजा खाए, वैद बेचारा क्या करे, कहाँ तक दवा खवाए और दवा लगाए. Okay, so चिंता means worry and dakini means the evil monster, the female version of evil monster. So he's actually chinta is like he's using it as a feminine term here. So chinta means worry. Worry is such a horrible monster, the witch basically, that she will eat up your heart. She will cut your heart and she will eat it up. Okay. And what is the doctor going to do? Because back in those days, we did not have doctors. We used to have Ved. Ved means people who study Ayurveda, and from the Ayurveda, they do the treatment. So they are called Ved. Okay. So the Ved, what is the Ved going to do? Bichara means poor Ved. What is the poor Ved going to do if because of your worries you are dying? If your worries have made you sick and because of your worries you are getting diseases, what will the poor, the doctor, I don't want to use the word doctor, the Ved would do? How much medicine will he feed you? How much medicine? Because no matter how much medicine he feeds you, your worry is going to eat up your heart. So 3D world, I know, is full of worries. It's always full of worries. All these very opulent, very popular people, this is the reason why they age so fast, and this is the why they need surgeries and Botox and whatnot. This is the reason why they are also completely addicted to substances, to alcohol, to drugs, to whatnot, to make them feel better. And this is the reason why eventually nobody is permanent, my friends. And that is the reason why you should not choose 3D, because 3D is temporary, 3D is an illusion, 3D is Maya. No matter who says what, it is the truth. 3D is Maya, 3D is an illusion, but 5D is not Maya. Okay, it's not an illusion. So thank you so much for being here with me. And for personal sessions, for private readings, you can check out the description box. And I have not said this before, but if you want to contribute to my work, if you want me to continue doing what I'm doing on this channel, Twin Flame Union, you can contribute on my PayPal also if you want to, because I know this is not easy. I know this is really tough, and sometimes even I feel like, I already have a mission. I just wanted to support my mission. That's why I'm here. But I see a lot of negativity. I see a lot of doubts. And I know there are many channels on the internet. And some of them are wonderful. Some of them are really positive. Some of them are very uplifting. Some of them are not at all. Some of them are very selfish. There are lots of them. There are lots of people who are trying to figure twin flames out. But this is not easy as well. So if you want to contribute, you can do that. And if you want to take a session, private session, you can do that. And if you want to get into therapy, I would recommend you guys should get into therapy. From my perspective, it would be the best thing to do, because you get, like singular focus, and you get that attention, that affection, and you also, get that type of, you can reach out anytime. That's the thing about therapy. All the people who are in therapy with me and who have done therapy with me, they know that I am always there for them. They can always write to me. Even if we are in different time zones, and sometimes I'm sleeping and I see the message next day, but they can always talk to me. That's the best part about therapies. And on that note, yes, finally, I will close this channeling session. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for doing all the great inner work that you're doing. You are amazing. Remember that. And one love and peace out.